Hey, all you musicians out there, check this out.
There's no money in music.
There's no money in music.
There's no money in actual music because in the digital era that in the era that we're in now, streaming era,
Yeah.
I want people to understand it takes 80 streams on Apple Music to make $1. You have to listen to this song 80 times to make $1.
Wow.
So if you understand that,
Who's listening to the same song 80
you
times?
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what the machine is. That's where you get people to like all the bots to listen to all your stuff a million times. That's how you get it up. But if we just looking at the streaming numbers, we're not in a place where music itself grosses from streaming. Mm-hmm. So you have to have physical copies purchased. You have to have merchandise. You have to tour. You have to do brand partnerships, and you have to establish yourself beyond your artistry.
So what is the music? It's just like a billboard, or is it,
It's your foundation. It's what you market. It is what your face is too. But it's not the way you make your money.
Right.
All right, so that was the very talented artist Lady London. She's been out doing her thing for a while now, so shout out to her. And what I can say is, she's correct. She is correct. However, there is some money in streaming. You can make some money in streaming, but you have to be in like that top, like 5 percentile, like when it comes to artistry. Because as we all know that most artists who are independent, who are starting out, who are trying to grind their way to the top, they're not making enough to sustain a livable wage on streaming. Now, the number she did give was a bit generous, 80 streams, but that's a little bit off. Right now, it's between 100 streams and 150 streams, depending on where you live at and a few other factors. So on average, on Apple Music, it's around about 125 streams will get you $1, okay? Because some places, they only pay like 0.007 per stream, and in some places actually pay an actual penny per stream. So around about 125, 130 would get you around about $1 made. Okay. So just to make $10, you need around about 12 to 1,300 streams on Apple Music to make $10. Okay. I don't know how many people in this world are going to actually stream your song 80 to 100 to 130 times. Okay. I don't know. I can't remember how many times I listened to a song that many times. So I'm just going to be honest with you. Streaming does not pay that much. Okay. But if you're somebody who is like at the top level of artists, yeah, you will make a little bit more because number one, most artists who are independent, they will get not, just the streaming royalties or whatever that's allocated from mechanicals, but you have the master side too, which that's something you guys can learn about with, royalties and stuff like that, because a lot of people that are signed to a lot of these major deals, they now a lot of them are kind of retaining their masters, but, most of these people who are signed to major labels, they actually give up their masters in exchange for the large amount of push that you get, in exchange for a large amount of upfront money that you get, which in some situations actually works out. But that's for a whole nother video right there about, the pluses and minuses signing to a major deal, which pretty much every artist that I had that we had a big record that signed to a major deal, they actually ended up pretty good. It was actually a pretty good situation. But in this situation right here, you have to look at some of the top artists right now. And let's just say, for instance, somebody like Rihanna. Rihanna sold a lot of songs. Okay, she did good before streaming. She did good after streaming. People are actually waiting on another album right now, which we don't know if that's ever going to happen again. However, if you really look at the whole logistics of what she's got going on, she makes more money outside of her music, which we all know her biggest venture is the makeup in the beauty sector, which is with the Fenty, and it has made her over $1 billion doing that. Not the music, okay? And pretty much all of her other ventures as well, with, all of her other sponsors and stuff like that. And, of course, touring was a big thing as well when she was touring. But we all know that the makeup line Fenty is what is making her the most money right now. Let's look at other artists. If you look at artists like Beyonce, probably one of the most known artists on the planet, she makes most of her money on touring, okay? Her albums set up touring. And if you look at the numbers, that is her big thing. Now, she does have other things so far as cosmetics lines and, other stuff as well. She has her own record company and everything. But we all know that touring is the biggest thing with Beyonce. We got to look at The Weeknd. The Weeknd has probably some of the highest sales out of any urban artist right now, even though he's not necessarily listed as an urban artist, kind of like more of a pop artist right now. But if you look at his stuff, most of the money that he is making is from touring, okay? Now, I just made a video on him about him selling his catalog, which he's going to get that $1 billion. He's finna get that $1 billion. I know that for a fact because a lot of people have been reporting on it. There's people already investing in it. He's going to raise that $1 billion for his catalog. And then after the $1 billion is paid off, he's going to get his catalog back. Okay, so he's going to be making money off of selling his catalog, and he's making a buku amount of money on touring. I know this for a fact because I went to one of his shows in Atlanta, his last show in Atlanta. We had some really good seats. Shout out to my guy, Biggs, who hooked me up with some really good seats. I only knew maybe like 6 songs, but it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And he sold out the whole football stadium. Okay, he sold out Mercedes-Benz, sold out. Great concert, had a great time, man. The people were cool there. Wasn't no crazy mess, no fighting, no shooting, no nothing. It was just good times, good vibes, and he sold out. And he sold out of everything. All the merch was sold out. Pretty much all the food was sold out. Everything was sold out, okay? So you got to think that he made a grip, like millions on each one of his concerts because all of his concerts pretty much sell out. So that's one thing that I do want to say is if anybody is an artist out here and you really want to try to make this thing work for you, you have to find alternative ways to make money other than streaming, okay? You have a lot of people that are doing to direct to consumer stuff like La Russell, which we will have a video about him very soon about what he's doing with the direct to consumer stuff. And it's more to what the eye can see when it comes to what he's doing, because what he's doing is a very fascinating thing. I'm going to break that down as well. But if you guys are out here making music, just understand you have to do other things. It's just like even with me. Yes, I get paid pretty good off of my biggest record. However, it is the sync placements and the other publishing stuff that pays me more. Okay, so if my song plays on TNT, if it plays during a commercial break, if somebody uses it in a TV ad or uses it in a TV show, like my song is actually on some syndicated shows that I still get paid residuals from that stuff is what keeps my publishing up, okay? It's not necessarily the streaming, okay, which that was pretty much, the streaming has been pretty much down for about, I'll say 6-7 years now. But thank goodness for all the TV sync placements and everything that I'm pretty much wrapped into those situations. And as long as them shows keep playing, as long as people still keep using my biggest record in, like, different movies or TV ads or whatever, that's what's paying me the most. And of course, as you guys can see, I'm here on YouTube on this channel and on my main channel. I do a lot of outside work here on YouTube because I use my work as leverage for me to be on here as YouTube, which that kind of got my audience up once people was like, hey, that's Bolo. He's the guy that produced such and such. He's on YouTube. Let me go check him out. And then some of you guys just found out because, y'all thought I was just like a regular YouTuber, which that's very cool because I want people to know that I'm trying to do this as authentic as possible. But having that groundwork, having that lead work in the industry and people knowing that I've actually been in some major situations actually helps things a lot better. That's why you guys are watching right now. And I'm trying to give you guys some game on this. Now, how you can make money outside of music? Hey, number one, you can just get a job if you want to do that. There's nothing wrong with getting a job. If you get a job that's paying you over $70,000, $80,000 a month, I'm telling you guys right now, you're doing better than probably 99% of all the musicians in this world. Okay, so if you're making $50,000 a year, you're making more money than pretty much every musician on the planet. Okay, now, if you don't want to do the job route, you can try to, use your music as, like how he said, it's like a billboard. It's like an ad. So you can start trying to sell merchandise. You can start trying to, do some shows. You can start trying to do some touring. You can do that, but you have to build up an audience first. And that stuff takes some time. It takes a lot of time to do that. It's not going to be a thing to where you just put out a record and then, oh my goodness, it just blows up and people start coming to your shows. No. Even if you have a big record out right now as an artist, right now, if you started out today, your biggest show will probably be maybe, 100 people, 200 people, 300 seaters type stuff, which is still very good. Because if you could charge $20 for 300 seats, that's $6,000. That's why most promoters right now, when people do have a pretty big record, the most that they're going to pay somebody at that point is maybe between that $5,000 and that $10,000 range, which that'll be guaranteed. Plus you'll have like hotel travel, stuff like that, which that's how we started out. When Silento had his breakout song, we were starting off at 5,000, then we went to 7,500, then up to 10,000, then from there, and then we did some corporate gigs that made a ton of money, and then overseas started catching on, and we started making some more money from that. And then for merchandising, like when we would do certain shows, we could have certain t-shirts sold, stuff like that. I didn't really do the merchandising side. That was like him and his people that did that, and the record label was doing a few things with that. But us showing up to corporate events, like they were paying a lot. So that was all the outside money that we were making, because at the time I was managing him and I was getting, a portion of that. So at the end of the day, at that time is really what made a lot more money. You know what I'm saying? I made more money off of touring than I actually did off of the record money mechanicals. Okay. So that's why I was saying touring, merchandising, TV and film, stuff like that, getting sync placement, stuff like that, all that stuff adds up. So don't just look at it as, oh, I'm going to stream it and I'm going to make a bunch of money from streaming. No, okay? It's not going to be that. Another big thing is radio. Radio is a huge component in this because if you can get you a record that is on the radio, telling you guys right now, if you can get a record that is on the radio, you're going to make some money. That radio money is, I'm telling you guys right now, people have been talking about this, but the radio money is something that is very, very good for artists. And I'm going to talk about that again in a future video very soon about radio money. Because if you get a hit record, that radio money is a whole different animal from sometimes even from the streaming side, and definitely from the mechanical side being paid out from, streams and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're doing music, you're most likely going to need something else. And if you're like a producer or somebody, you can put out like beat albums and stuff like that, but it's actually best to actually try to find an artist. Okay. If you can find you an artist and build with that artist and then do a few things outside of just the streaming, you will make more money that way to sustain yourself, sustain an artist. And in that way, things will be a lot better. But yeah, she's 100% correct. She's a very dope artist. She's been on the scene for a while, and she's been killing it. And she's actually telling the truth, which she actually said something else in this interview as well. That's something that we're going to talk about very soon as well. But yeah, streaming is cool, but it doesn't pay that much. You're going to need some outside sources.